certainly not part of the New Age movement, because although there are many people in the New Age philosophy who have great potential for coming the whole way, the movement itself, in many areas, is a bit counterproductive, because it goes beyond the harmony point on the other side. Going out in some spiritual days and dropping out is no way to improve life on this planet.
Right.
You know, it's balance.
Talking of planets, you've been to Mercury.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about it?
No, I'll tell you how it works. You see, when we come into a physical body for an incarnation, a very good question that people ask is, why don't I remember all my previous lives? Why don't I remember why I've come to Earth this time? And the answer to that is twofold. A, knowing some of the things we've done in the past would not help us to continue in the future. For instance, when the soul of Hitler comes back to reincarnate and begin his journey of karmic development, knowing that he was Hitler would be very detrimental to him.
It's a bad start in life, wouldn't it?
Just a little bit. And the other thing is that if we come, as we do, to Earth into different physical bodies with a plan to learn certain lessons by going into certain circumstances, it's going to be a doddle of a lesson to do the right thing if you actually know what you've come to do, and you know what you've come...
So you've got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, you come in not knowing what you've come to learn, although you are being guided without knowing it into certain situations, and therefore you react to those situations in a very natural way.
Yeah, more from David Icke in just a minute.
I love the colorful clothes you wear.
That was the tune before that as well, from the Beach Boys. And David just mentioned something to me during the record. I am something to do, because I am interviewing you in this lengthy and detailed interview, I'm actually something to do with the whole process of your guidance and with the Christ process.
Well, what happens, because of the law of karma, which I was talking about, people are given the opportunity to, if they reacted in a certain way in the past that perhaps they weren't very pleased with, to react in another way in the same circumstance. Therefore, because of what happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus and the other people came to do the same sort of job, then the people who were around at that time, incarnated into the bodies, whether they be on the side of the church who opposed Christ, or the public who laughed, or the Romans, or the people who were with him, supporting him, they are all, or nearly all, reincarnated at this time. The disciples, the souls of the disciples are all around me.
So I could be a soul of a disciple, come back in another...
I would.
It's highly likely that I'm something to do with the whole process, because I'm interviewing you.
Well, it's difficult because I need to check all this out, because you're throwing this at me, and I need to sit down and check this out with the guys. But I would said that you were certainly involved in a great chance of being involved at that time, and you're being given an opportunity to be involved here and perhaps react in a different way. I don't know.
I'm sorry if I did anything untoward in the past.
But that's the way karma works. It's a very good description of it. And funnily enough, Jesus described karma brilliantly with his line, "What you sow, you shall reap." And when he was asked, well, how do you avoid these karmic experiences that maybe are not very pleasant because of what we've done in the past, he said another classic line, "Do unto others what you would have them do unto you."
It's very tricky ground, though, interpreting lines from the Bible in your own way, because that's been the excuse for wars and killing and pogroms.
But I tell you why they are. Those lines like that are written in the Bible in a way that they can be used by anyone, is because in 553 AD, for political and personal reasons, all mention of reincarnation and karma, which those lines then related to in the text, was scored out.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the book.
And this is why the truth has been lost for so long.
Talking about Christ, people will find this fascinating, and some people will find it highly offensive too. He was an aspect of the solar logos, you say in the book.
Which is an aspect of the Godhead, really, yeah.
So he was just another aspect of the Godhead, as indeed you are. So you're, in a way, sort of the brother of Christ in a sort of spiritual sense.
Yeah, I mean, this son of God business, daughter of God, it's just a title you are given, because as I mentioned earlier with the thoughts created by the Godhead, we're all therefore the children of God.
Yeah.
But when we can become actually part of the soul of the Godhead, then and we come to Earth or we come to any other planet to do a certain job, it's just the Godhead working through a physical body. That's what it is effectively, and what a great honor it is. Then you get this title, Son of God, Daughter of God. It doesn't make us any different. And I'll tell you the wonderful story that sums this up. What we've been talking about for the last few minutes, before the record, in the Bible, which is not terribly accurate, I have to say. It's about 20% accurate at best.
Well, like the Reverend Ian Paisley.
Yeah, well,
you say that.
He would say different, but free will gives him the right to say that, as gives me the right to say the other. The story of the prodigal son sums up what we've been talking about. That was Jesus talking to 2,000 years ago, and even more primitive people than we are now on the physical vibration. And this was the story of the Son leaving the Father. That's the thought form, leaving the Father as potential, the Godhead, going away and learning lessons through mistakes, as that Son did, and then through learning from those lessons, coming back to the Godhead, to the Father in the story, the Godhead in other words, as a much more evolved, knowledgeable being. And the Father, the other aspect of this story, is the Father welcomed the Son with open arms. And the other son, who had stayed with the Father, if you like, and hadn't gone astray, shall we say, said, "Hold on, Dad, how come you're treating him like that when I've been with you all the time? I've been the good boy." And the Father's reaction, and this is the Godhead's reaction, is, hold on, he's learned from his mistakes, he's come back, he's evolved the same as you, he's taken a different journey to you to reach the same conclusion, but he's now here and all's fine. And this is why the soul of Saddam Hussein, the soul of Hitler, the soul of all these people will eventually become part of the Godhead. They'll take a very long journey compared with some, maybe,
yes,
through the law of karma, but eventually they'll get there. As one message said, which summed it all up, no sheep are left in the field. At the end of the day, all are gathered in.
Do you think if Jesus were alive today and you'd been alive then, he would be writing books and doing promo tours and appearing on television programs and so forth? Would he be promoting it in the same way
Absolutely.
that you are now?
Tell you the funny thing, Nicky, the Bible actually predicts the coming of the Son of Man, the coming of the Son of God, at this time of great change.
Right now?
Yeah. Well, at this time of great change.
The Bible predicts you in a way?
Yeah, exactly. It calls the being the Son of Man.
Where is that? So people.
That is in the book of Revelations towards the end.
Right.
And it's also earlier on in some of the Gospels too. What do they expect this Son of Man to look like? Do they expect him to wear a beard and a white robe?
Well, they don't expect him to be a Hereford United goalkeeper.
Correct.